Did you know that gang violence casts a long shadow over North India, claiming hundreds of lives each year? This is not just a statistic, it's a grim reality that affects countless families and communities. The impact of this violence is felt deeply, leaving scars that are not easily healed. The fear and uncertainty it brings disrupt daily life, making it difficult for people to go about their routines without looking over their shoulders. This region, known for its vibrant culture and economic dynamism, is increasingly grappling with the menace of organized crime. The bustling marketplaces and lively cultural festivals that once symbolized the spirit of North India are now marred by the constant presence of law enforcement. The police patrols, once a reassuring sight, now serve as a stark reminder of the underlying threats that loom over these communities. The vibrant colors of festivals are overshadowed by the dark reality of crime. From extortion and kidnapping to murder and drug trafficking, these gangs operate with impunity, instilling fear and disrupting the social fabric. The audacity with which they conduct their operations is alarming. They have no qualms about using violence to achieve their ends, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. The confiscated drugs and weapons are just the tip of the iceberg, representing a much larger and more insidious problem that permeates every level of society. Their reach extends far and wide, infiltrating businesses, influencing politics, and threatening the very foundation of law and order. In courtrooms, we see gang members standing trial, but the real battle is fought in the shadows, where their influence is felt most acutely. Political rallies, meant to be a celebration of democracy, are often tainted by the presence of these criminal elements who seek to manipulate and control for their own gain. The very institutions meant to protect and serve the public are under siege. This begs the question, how can we, as citizens, combat this growing threat and reclaim our communities from the grip of these criminal enterprises? The answer lies in collective action and community resilience. By coming together, we can create a formidable force against these gangs. Community meetings and neighborhood watches are just the beginning. We need to foster a culture of vigilance and mutual support, where every individual feels empowered to take a stand against crime. One answer lies in the power of information and the courage to expose the truth. Journalists and citizen reporters play a crucial role in this fight. By shining a light on the activities of these gangs, they help to break the cycle of fear and silence that allows crime to flourish. Their work is not without risk, but it is essential for holding those in power accountable and ensuring that justice is served. This is where individuals like myself, Dhruv Rathee, come into play, leveraging digital platforms to shed light on these shadowy networks and empower citizens to demand accountability. Through videos, blogs, and social media, we can reach a wide audience and mobilize public opinion. By raising awareness and providing a platform for voices that might otherwise go unheard, we can create a groundswell of support for change. Together, we can challenge the status quo and work towards a safer, more just society for all. The case of Lawrence Bishnoi, a notorious gangster currently operating from behind bars, provides a chilling glimpse into the intricate workings of organized crime in North India. Bishnoi's name has become synonymous with fear and violence, as his criminal empire continues to thrive despite his incarceration. His story is a testament to the pervasive reach of organized crime and the challenges faced by law enforcement in curbing its influence. Bishnoi, hailing from a wealthy family in Haryana, rose to prominence through a series of high-profile crimes, including extortion, murder, and running a vast criminal network. His journey into the world of crime began at a young age, driven by a desire for power and control. Over the years, he meticulously built his empire, recruiting loyal followers and eliminating rivals with ruthless efficiency. His criminal activities have left a trail of devastation, affecting countless lives and communities. His influence extends far beyond prison walls, with his gang members carrying out his orders and spreading terror across several states. Despite being behind bars, Bishnoi has managed to maintain control over his operations through a sophisticated network of communication devices and trusted lieutenants. This has allowed him to orchestrate crimes with precision, evading law enforcement efforts to dismantle his organization. The fear he instills in both his enemies and the general public is a testament to his enduring power. Bishnoi's case is not an isolated incident, but rather a symptom of a deeply rooted problem plaguing the region. Organized crime has become entrenched in North India, with numerous gangs vying for control and influence. The violence and lawlessness that accompany these criminal enterprises have created an environment of fear and instability. The impact on local communities is profound, as residents live in constant fear of becoming collateral damage in gang-related conflicts. It exposes the nexus between gangsters, politicians, and corrupt officials who collude to protect their interests and evade justice. This unholy alliance has allowed criminals like Bishnoi to operate with impunity as they receive protection and support from those in positions of power. The corruption and complicity of officials have undermined the rule of law, making it difficult for law enforcement to effectively combat organized crime. The influence of these criminal networks extends into the political sphere, where they manipulate elections and policy decisions to further their agendas. This case serves as a stark reminder of the urgent need to dismantle these criminal networks and hold those in power accountable for their actions. The fight against organized crime requires a multifaceted approach, involving not only law enforcement but also judicial and political reforms. It is essential to address the root causes of corruption and ensure that those who abuse their power are brought to justice. Public awareness and activism are also crucial in demanding transparency and accountability from authorities. Only through a concerted effort can the cycle of crime and corruption be broken, paving the way for a safer and more just society. The roots of gang culture in North India run deep, tracing back to the post-independence era. The year 1947 marked a significant turning point in the history of the Indian subcontinent. As the British colonial rule came to an end, the region was plunged into chaos and uncertainty. The partition of India and Pakistan not only divided the land but also tore apart communities, families, and lives. Amidst this turmoil, the seeds of gang culture began to take root. The partition of India and Pakistan led to widespread social and economic upheaval, creating fertile ground for criminal elements to thrive. The mass migration of millions of people across newly drawn borders resulted in a humanitarian crisis of unprecedented scale. Refugees, stripped of their homes and livelihoods, found themselves in desperate situations. In this environment of instability and lawlessness, criminal gangs saw an opportunity to exploit the vulnerable and establish their dominance. These gangs, often with roots in specific communities or regions, initially emerged as local strongmen, exploiting the lack of law enforcement and capitalizing on communal tensions. The early years of independence were marked by a weak and overburdened law enforcement system, struggling to maintain order in a rapidly changing society. Local strongmen, who were often seen as protectors by their communities, began to wield significant power. They provided a semblance of order and security, but at a cost. Their influence grew as they engaged in criminal activities using violence and intimidation to maintain control. Over time, these gangs expanded their operations, diversifying into various criminal activities, including extortion, kidnapping, and contract killings. What started as localized groups soon evolved into organized crime syndicates with far-reaching networks. They began to operate with a level of sophistication and coordination that made them formidable adversaries for law enforcement. Extortion rackets became a common means of income, with businesses and individuals forced to pay for protection. Kidnappings for ransom became another lucrative venture, instilling fear in the hearts of the populace. The easy availability of firearms, coupled with a culture of silence and fear, further emboldened these criminal networks, allowing them to operate with impunity. Firearms, both locally manufactured and smuggled from across borders, became readily accessible. This proliferation of weapons escalated the violence, making gang conflicts more deadly and their threats more credible. Communities gripped by fear often chose to remain silent rather than risk retribution. This culture of silence created an environment where gangs could operate without significant resistance, further entrenching their power. The nexus between gangsters and politicians grew stronger, with criminals infiltrating the political system and using their ill-gotten wealth to influence elections and secure protection. As these gangs amassed wealth and power, they began to seek legitimacy and protection through political connections. Politicians, in turn, found these alliances beneficial for their own ambitions. Criminals provided muscle and money, while politicians offered protection and influence. This unholy alliance blurred the lines between crime and politics, making it increasingly difficult to combat organized crime. The influence of gangs extended into the highest echelons of power, affecting governance and eroding public trust in the political system. Command. Currently, the VO is 430 words long. Gangs in North India employ a multi-pronged approach to maintain their grip on power and generate illicit wealth. Extortion forms the backbone of their operations, targeting businesses, wealthy individuals, and even government officials. They instill fear through threats, intimidation tactics, and violence, forcing their victims to comply with their demands. Kidnapping for ransom is another lucrative avenue for these gangs, preying on the vulnerable and exploiting the emotional distress of families. Contract killings are also commonplace, used to silence rivals, eliminate witnesses, or settle personal scores. The gangs operate with a chilling disregard for human life, resorting to extreme violence to maintain their dominance and instill fear.